So the topic is carbon trading for a sustainable future. In all respects, in all the subjects, we speak about sustainable development. Whether it is science or arts, we speak about sustainability or sustainable development. So before discussing about the trading, we must know about the sustainable development. What they speak about the sustainable development. So if you just look at the year, that is in 1987, the Brundtland Commission has defined this sustainable development concept, and it says that the sustainable development, the development should concentrate not only the present generation, also it must concentrate on the future generation as well. This is the idea behind the sustainable development. Now we are speaking about growth rate, GDP, and we classify the countries as developed and underdeveloped or developing countries. But we undermine the exploitation of environment and we speak about only development. But what is the expectation is the development should consider the present generation, also the future generation as well. But we are not very particular about the future generation, just we are very particular about what is happening at present, what we want to do at present, what is our growth rate at present. Even in our budget presentation, they are targeting some 9% growth rate. So this Brundtland Commission in 87 itself has said that the sustainable development is a development that meets the needs. We have to grow, nothing wrong in it. At the same time, we must ensure that the future generation will get the same good quality resources, not what we are having at present. Now whatever we are having as the resources at present, we cannot ensure the same to the future as it is polluted. And one study says that even if you halt emissions by today, it will take 13 years to come to a normal position of the global temperature. So this is what about sustainable development, considering both the generations. And coming to the next slide, it is about international treaties. So there are two treaties, one is Kyoto Protocol and Paris Agreement, which speaks about the carbon emissions in particular. Both speaks about climate change, and as a implication they speak about carbon emissions, how to control the carbon emissions. And if you take the Kyoto Protocol, which was held in Japan in 2005 and in the year 1997, and around 169 industrialized countries, they have agreed to reduce the emission level by 5.4%, that too within 2012, and keeping 1990 as a base. So the Kyoto Protocol is very particular about reduction of the emissions, that too from the industrialized countries. And around 38 industrialized countries, and they have formed as a European Union, and they have targeted them as a Party A list. And other countries, some few more countries joined with the European Union, and they fight against the control of carbon emissions. So we have around 147 countries in the B list, that is those who are signatory under Kyoto Protocol. Even India, China, we are in the category or annexure of B list. In case of A list, the countries are well developed countries, they have come forward and they have created a trade, carbon trade. And India is a member country, but it is not involving in the carbon trading. That is the important thing. We are a member, but we are not under the Kyoto Protocol's list of A country. We are only at the level of B, annexure B. Only thing is we can get benefits out of the developed countries. We are not going to contribute anything to the climate change action. at a world level, but it can be at a national level. So next is the Paris Agreement. This was continuous to the Kyoto Protocol, and this agreement was made in the year 2016 with the 200 countries. They have come forward and they have gave their opinions about the problems, issues about the climate change, and they accepted that we must work for managing the climate change or global temperature by 1 to 1.5 to 2 degree Celsius. This is the agenda of the Paris Agreement. Even this, the same was discussed in the COP26. And this is the 5 promises that our government has given to the COP26 climate summit in Glasgow in the year 2021. And India declared that its aim is to achieve zero emissions by 2070, wherein China has said that it will attain zero emission by 2050. So each and every country, they are giving their own ideas. Our country has submitted that it will control by 2070, 2070, right? So next thing is, India will get its non-fossil energy capacity to 500 gigawatts by 2030. But actually in the year 2021, it is only 73.35 gigawatts. You can imagine how much we have to expand, how much we have to work to attain the 500 gigawatts by 2030. So, and he has promised that India will meet 50% of its energy requirements from the renewable energy sources. And also it has said that India will reduce the total projected carbon emissions by 1 billion tons to 2030. But what a study of Down to Earth journal, Sunita Narayan, who is the director, she says that we have to reduce 22% of the emissions to attain this target of reducing 1 billion tons of carbon emission. And lastly, by 2030, India will reduce the carbon intensity of its by 45%. These are the promises that India has given under COP26, where they have discussed exclusively about the carbon, how to reduce the carbon. This is the discussion went in COP26. And what are the economic instruments we have to control pollution? Next. So throughout the world, if you take, they are following these principles. Even India is also following the same principles. First is command and control. Government will give the standards. What should be the level of emission, and what should be the use of technologies. What are the technologies that we have to use? How we have to dispose the waste? How to dispose the solid waste, liquid waste? Everything we have some rules and regulations under a pollution control board. That is what command and control. Next is taxes. If we use carbon, if we use petrol, diesel, so we have to pay the tax to the government. And if you take the carbon cess in India, it is rupees 400 per ton. It has started from around 200 and now it is 400 per ton. Next, petrol cess and tax. It is 43.4 paisa per liter. Similarly for diesel. Even if we may know that the teachers, the professors, we pay 4% as an educational cess. Earlier it was 3%, now we are paying 4%. So what is the aim of this cess or tax? So as I am using coal for my industry, as I am using fuel for my two-wheeler, so that it will be releasing emissions. Now it is around 1 per liter, it has crossed 100 rupee. Around 57 rupee or 60 rupee is the value. Remaining amount is going for the cess or tax. It means that per liter, government is spending 43 rupees for managing the environment. It is the meaning actually. Why they are collecting the tax? Cess. The reason is, by collecting the cess, they want to manage the environment because it is polluting. When I am consuming coal or petrol, it is polluting the environment. To safeguard the environment, government is collecting the tax. Okay, very good. What is about the subsidies? If your industry is environment friendly, if it is involving in solar energy, if it is involving in hydro power, whether if it is involving in wind energy, afforestation program, if they are involving in a good environmental management, then we can give subsidy to encourage them and to minimize the price and make all the people to purchase. Okay, that is the logic behind the subsidies. But in the case of tax, whoever using the fuels, we have to collect that tax and we have to manage the environment. In case of subsidies, we have to give subsidies for renewable energy. So this is the core idea. And by the time now there is a terminology emerging is carbon trading. Now few countries they are following this carbon trading, but majority of the countries are following only taxes. Even in India, we are adapting, we are following the tax to a major extent, as we are coming under the developing countries and B annexer list. So we are collecting only the tax, and to some extent we are giving subsidies, and the carbon trading is a new phenomena where we are a part. We have agreed the carbon trading, but we are not adapting the carbon trading. That is the thing. Then why carbon trading? Why? What is the problem with the carbon tax? Why we have to move to the carbon trade? That will be the question. So now we could see that we are facing n number of environmental issues like climate change, global warming, pollution, deforestation. Almost every problem that we face today is out of the environmental issues. So as a result, it creates huge economic burden because of air pollution, because of water pollution. We are paying a huge amount as a cost. Not only that, it also involves social cost. Whoever is not involving in pollution, he is also paying for the pollution. For example, I am using two-wheeler, I am fueling it, but I am paying tax to the government. My two-wheeler is polluting the environment. But a person who is riding a cycle or walking, he is affected the pollution released by my vehicle. So that is what social cost. To meet out this social cost, government has to spend, but it is not spending the actual amount that is collecting from us as a tax or cess. So this carbon trading is more efficient as compared to the carbon tax. So how it is efficient? That is what we are going to discuss. This is what about carbon trading. Carbon trading allows countries to reduce their own carbon emissions first. This trading means that it will reduce its own emissions. After reducing its emissions to some benchmark level, it will sell the saved emissions to other countries. It can sell to the other countries. It can sell or it can spend the money for technology transfer or project investments. So it is not mean that they have to get only money or dollars. They can get in form of a kind which promotes their environment, or otherwise they can invest in renewable energy. So just if you even see this picture, it is very clear. See, there are two emitters A and B. This is the red dotted line is the level of emissions given to the emitter A and B. If you take the emitter A, he is polluting more than the benchmark level. But in the case of emitter B, he is releasing emission less than the benchmark level. So he has saved this much of energy or permits, but this emitter has polluted more. He has released more emissions. So what he can do is, he can purchase the credits, savings from the emitter B, and he can sell and he can purchase and he can meet out its target. This is one idea. That is, in carbon trading, when one company is polluting more beyond the benchmark level or beyond the cap, it has to purchase from other, or otherwise there are some more options. For example, you can ask a question: if all are polluting more than the benchmark level, what has to be done? The answer will be in the coming slides. How does it work? It is working under two forms. One is cap and trade and another one is offsetting. Okay, what is cap and trade? In the cap and trade, the government sets an emission cap, that is a benchmark level. This much of ton or this much of unit carbon alone you have to release. That is only free. If you go beyond that level, then you have to trade. For example, government is giving 100 units, I can release 100 units of carbons. It is free. If I release more than that, then I have to purchase from others, or I have to involve in action and I have to purchase more permits. That is the thing. That is what cap and trade. Government sets an emission cap and issues a number of emission allowances consistent with the cap, and the emitter will be holding the cap. Based on the company's size, the government will give some emission levels cap, and it has to hold, and the company has to run its market. Then when they are releasing lesser effluents, they can sell their trade, otherwise they have to purchase. This is what cap means, the limit, what should be the emission limit. Another is carbon offsets. Here you need not to sell or purchase. What I can do, I am a industrialist. Government says I can release only 100 units of carbon, but my company is releasing more carbons. The thing is, I can purchase or I can involve in the action of the trading system. I can purchase more permits, or otherwise I can involve in offsets. Okay, what is offsets? I can invest some amount in wind power, solar or afforestation, and I have to calculate the carbon emissions, how much carbon it has saved. Then that amount can be used as a permit to release more emissions. So there are three ways when I release more emissions. One is I can purchase from my industry companies, other companies. Another one is I can involve in action of trading, carbon trading. Then I can purchase more permits. Third is I can invest on offsets, where India is benefiting more. China is also benefiting more in the offsets. If I want to just go through the slides, a carbon offset broadly refers to a reduction in emission increase in carbon storage. If you develop a project that reduces carbon dioxide emissions, then every ton of emissions reduced results in the creation of one carbon offsets. So when I invest in wind power, how much carbon I have stored? When I invest in solar, how much carbon I have stored? So in this way, if I have saved 1 ton of carbon, the same ton of carbon can be released as a emission I can produce. So this is what offset. So we have two basic principles. One is cap and trade, and another one is offsets. Now there are three trading mechanism. One is international emission trading. That is, this European Union is the pioneering trading, emissions trading. Under European Union, there are 37 countries and 4 more countries are under European Union. So this is accepted by the international bodies or international all the countries, so that it is the international emission trading. You can be a part if you are willing. We can be a part if you are willing. So it is a market based approach to control the emissions. And in the country Annexer 1, there are 43 countries in total under category A. In the category B, there are more number of countries. These category A countries, they have to follow the international agreements. What is the cap? How much they can release? If they release more, what they have to do? All are under condition. So why they must be a member country? What they are going to get? Like India, we can keep away. We can give statements by 2070 we will reduce all emissions. Then we can get funds for investing on solar or like that. We can do that under offsetting principle. But some countries are involving by their own. There is some economic benefits as well. I will tell what is the economic benefits. The next is joint implementation. These Annexer 1 countries can invest in emission reduction projects, not in the Annexer B countries. Even in the Annexer A countries itself they can invest. That is what joint implementation. So if they feel that if I want to invest in New Delhi, the cost is too high. Better I can invest in Tamil Nadu. The cost is too low. But I can generate, I can store more carbon and I can show the same value and I can pollute in Delhi. Like this, joint implementation means a country coming under category A, Annexer A countries, it can invest in the same Annexer countries. So within the country they have to do that. So this is what about joint implementation, that is emissions domestically, reducing emissions domestically. Then coming to the clean development mechanism, it is more or less like offsets. Even in our country we have clean development, national clean development mechanism. So this mechanism allows Annexer A countries to invest in Annexer B countries. Okay, the thing is you need not to pay additional amount for the carbon emissions. If you are emitting more emissions than the cap or the limit, then you can invest in developing countries and you can show the carbon storage amount, and the same amount can be used in your own country or by the particular industry. That is what clean development mechanism. So it feels that the country feels that it is very cheaper. Sometimes even we can see FDI inflows to India. The reason is here the environmental regulations are very weak. So they feel better and they invest here. This is what going around the world. So similarly they can invest in our country and they can show the carbon storage and they can get credits there. They can pollute more as they need. And this helps the developing countries to adopt newer technology. So what is the uniqueness of tax and carbon trading? As I said earlier, carbon tax means if I get fuel 1 liter, I have to pay tax. But in this carbon trading, it groups the country into A and B. The A country can invest in B country on renewable energy, forest, afforestation program, they can invest here. So what happens if you allow to pay tax, he will go on pay tax. But in this case, this is the benchmark level. If you want to pollute more, you have to show some carbon storage. A condition is there. But in carbon tax, there is no condition. It will go on pollute. Industries will go on pollute and we will face a great issue. But in this case, carbon trading, it gives an option. You can pollute only up to this level. If you go beyond this level, you have to invest in renewable energy. So this uniqueness is in the carbon trading. It is a merit of the carbon trading. And this carbon trading or clean development mechanism will be monitored by the executive board. Just like we cannot show, sir, we have this much of credential or this much of investment, not like that. One will be monetary. Even in the India, we have national clean development mechanism. If America or UK is coming to our country, through clean development mechanism alone, it has to come. And if I am interested, if I am going to create a afforestation, or if I am going to create a solar power energy in a larger scale, then I have to register under clean development mechanism. Then only I can sell the credits. So there is a party between purchaser and seller. That is clean development mechanism. It will monitor how much they have invested, how much he has utilized, how much carbons are stored. This is the duty of the clean development mechanism under carbon trade. So we have two types of schemes. One is compliance market and another one is voluntary market. If you take the compliance market, it is regulated by the national, regional or international carbon reduction regimes. So it is coming under rules and regulation. It is very clear. These are the compliance markets agreed, accepted by the whole world at a national, regional and international level. You can see some of the schemes are available here. But European Union is the first trading scheme. Others are newly they have joined as a compliance market. So this market means it is very clear. It will give the cap and you have to follow it. If you want to invest in offset, then clean development mechanism approach, then invest in good projects. So this is the idea in case of compliance market. Besides, there is a voluntary market. Here there is no compulsion. It is not accepted at a worldwide. Only at a national level we can have a carbon market. If you take the case of China, now it is a leading voluntary carbon market. See, the international bodies will not involve in voluntary markets. Only China will decide everything, what should be the cap, how you have to invest, everything it will be telling. So it cannot be accepted at a worldwide, but it is encouraging. It is a good practice. So what is going, whenever they speak about pollution or carbon emission, first they say about China, number one. Second is the US. Third is the India. Now these three countries are in a critical stage. They have to reduce their carbons. So what China has done, they have come forward voluntarily and they have started carbon emissions. They have started in the 2015. Now from 21 they have started the trade in their country alone. So what is the difference between compliance market and voluntary markets? In compliance market, it is accepted throughout the world. Even India can be a part of that trading system. But in voluntary markets, it is purely depending upon the country's regimes. The action taken by the rulers or the government alone will take care of these voluntary markets. Few markets are given for your knowledge. Then, so even though there are compliance market, voluntary markets, as European Union is the first market in emission trading scheme, I want to discuss about this scheme first. Then I will discuss what is India doing regard to this carbon trading. These are the two headings that I am going to discuss. First is the European Union emission trading scheme. And if you take this scheme, it is the world first and so far the largest emission trading. It was launched in 2005 to fight the global warming. So as of 2013, it has covered around 11,000 factories, power stations and other installations in 31 countries and 27 member countries. So it has covered. Earlier I have said, what is the use to be a part? One thing is, if a country says you must be a part of the trade, means all the industry has to follow. Like if you take the case of China, China says all the industries must come register yourself under voluntary China's trading system. So all must involve and all must produce the documents. The government will visit and it will monitor the emission level. Similarly, in case of European Union, if you are a member, then you can join as a member and you can follow its norms and regulation under this European Union ETS. You can reduce. What I will get by reducing? See, now what we are speaking, see, he is polluting. Once Trump was asked to sign in Paris Agreement by updating its policies. When Obama was there, he accepted that he will reduce the GDP or production and they will move to the renewable energy. But when Trump came, he did not accept. He showed the hands towards China and India. See, these people are polluting. Why you are forcing us to reduce our GDP or production? So this will be the issue. But under this European Union ETS, there are around 11,000 factories, that too as per the 13 statistics. Now it has around 9 years has gone. Still more companies might have joined under this European Union. One thing, when I reduce the emissions, I can sell for huge price. Understood? I can sell for huge price. That is the gain a industry is earning. I can gain. What a consumer or a carbon consumer will do, he will produce more and he will target the price of the commodity and he will also balance. That is a limitation. That is a limitation in this model. So, a country or a industry has a right to sell, so it gets some revenue. When there is no action, for now the country cannot invest in clean development mechanism. All at a sudden, now I need carbon credits, carbon permits. What to only I can carbon action, so I can purchase some permits for huge price, or otherwise I have to purchase from the industries. So in this way, involving in emissions trading gives some benefits to the industries. Then it has started its role from 2005 and it has a new target of 2030. The European Union has given certain cap. If you see the cap in the first phase, it is 2096 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. Then in the second phase, you can see it is 2049. Then in the third phase, it has given 2084 up to 13, then 1816 in 2020. Then in the fourth phase, it has started it caps with 1572 metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions. So what you could see in the cap, every year it is reducing the cap. See, from 2096, 49, then 1816, then 1500. So the cap limit is reduced every year, or according to the phase. First phase, this is the level of emission you can do. If you go beyond this emission level, you have to purchase or you have to invest, you have to involve in the action and you have to get the permits. So what is the merit in the trading, carbon trading? In carbon trading, as compared to the carbon tax, you can pollute and you can pay. No change in the emissions. But in this case, carbon trading, there is a cap. That too, the cap is reduced every year. So that what the industries will be doing, they will be more cautious. So we should be very careful. We should be very careful in reducing the emissions. That will be the intention. So as the level of emission is going on increasing, the price of the carbon is also increasing over the period. If you see the countries from its initiation, first phase, second phase, third phase, from 2005 to 2021, When it was started, the price was around $19 per ton. Now once again it increased, and there was a fluctuation, and from 13 it was minimum as compared to the 2005. Then later from 2017 the carbon price has increased steadily. In the year 2021 it was around $50 per ton. So what it reveals, the people are, as the European Union is giving some benchmark levels, this is the level, this is the cap. When industries are polluting more, what they are doing, they are involving in the carbon action, carbon permit action. Then they purchase the permits. When it happens, the price is also increasing, the carbon prices. If you want to pollute 1 ton, you have to pay $50. So if you are going to pollute more carbon tons, then you have to pay more. You can see how the prices has increased, carbon prices has increased. But it is interesting to see that from 13 to 17 it has come down. After that the price has increased. It means that the level of pollution is increasing beyond the benchmark level. But what the carbon trading aim is to reduce the carbon emission throughout the year, throughout the coming year. That is only sustainable future. When we reduce the carbon, then only it is a sustainable future. But the price is increasing, carbon prices. The next is the April 2021 prices. If you take the case of European Union, it is $50 as we discussed earlier. Then Switzerland, it is $46 per metric ton of carbon emissions. So these are the countries that are doing market under compliance, that is accepted by world countries. So this is the prices. So coming to the principles of European Union ETS, what is the principle it is having? It adopts a cap and trade system to cut the greenhouse gas emission. Then this cap is reduced over time. Over the period the cap will be coming on declining. So that it is putting pressure on the companies. They will be in a position to purchase carbon in the action. What they will do, instead of purchasing this carbon permits or carbons from the neighboring industries, or investing in offsets like India, China through clean development mechanism, better we can change our own technology that releases lesser emissions. So it is giving pressure to the industries when you reduce the cap. So within this time you have to do this. Then means we are creating, some pressure is created. Similarly, the European Union giving pressure to the industries so that they will reduce. Okay, you are not reducing, then we will give more value for the price permits. So there is a pressure. One will be comparing. See, instead of purchasing permits, additional permits, let me use some good technology that reduces lesser effluents. Why not I can move towards the renewable energy? Like that they can think. Instead of investing in India for solar power, they can invest in their own country and they can show the carbon levels. So in such a way it is creating a pressure to the industries. That is carbon trading as compared to the carbon tax. So they are following the calendar year of this emission trading, and if the companies are producing excess carbons, then they will be fined with 100 euros per ton. If they are admitting themselves, then it is 50 per ton. If without knowing, if they want to cheat the European Union trade system, then if they found, they will put 100 euros. So this is what the principle of the European Union ETS. Then action. So here is the important role for those who are reducing the level of emissions. So under the European emissions, there are 43 countries. Now they are giving the cap, and if you pollute more, then you have to participate in the action and you have to purchase the additional credit. So you are selling, the action is going up and you have earned huge amount. that huge amount will be shared by the member countries. Understood? The thing is, if I reduce the emission, I can sell. One advantage. Second advantage is, when the emission is going on increasing, the amount of action through all this system, the amount will be shared by the member country, and the European Union will ask those countries to invest in renewable energy. That is the only condition. It is a good approach. I will tell in the conclusion what are the lacuna here. It is a good approach, but there are some limitations. Actioning is the basic principle of allocating allowances. Allowances means additional emissions. The indices have to buy an increasing proportion of allowance through actions. Government is telling only 100 units, but I am polluting 300 units. So the remaining 200 units I have to purchase from the action. And over the trading period from 13 to 20, 57% of the total amount of allowances were actioned. So whatever the amount they have generated in the trade, it is 57% they have earned through the action. That means only 43% free emissions cap. Remaining 57% of the emission is sold through the action. They have purchased. So it is, the pollution level is high. That is the meaning of it. Under this ETS, member states have the competence to decide how to use their share. So I am a member country. When after the action, this is the revenue we have got. So that revenue can be discussed what we can do this amount. Because of this trading, we earned this much of amount. So we can decide to invest in renewable energy or afforestation program, or we can help some developing countries like India, China. We can invest. So this will be decided. This will be decided. Then achievements. If you take the achievements, the European Union ETS led an estimate of 100 to 200 million tons reduction in carbon emissions, that too in the first 2 years of the phases. Now, what is the achievements that we have witnessed through this European Union trading system? It says that we have estimated around 100 to 200 million tons reduction in carbon dioxide. So it is a good number. From 2013 to 19, the coal power emissions has fallen by 43%. Then as the permit price has climbed up, in 2019, the emission level has fell by 8.7%. So next aspect is around 43% of the GHG emissions reduction in the past 16 years. So in the year 2020, still there was a huge slash. It is because of the COVID-19 and because of the lockdown. And we could witness it is around 13.3% fall in emission as compared to 2019. Similarly, in case of stationary installations, by 11.2, 14.9% from power sector, then 64% from emissions from aviation, flights and other things. So the carbon trading emissions through European Union has achieved various levels. It has reduced the emissions to a large extent. It has controlled the fuel use. So when you compare the emission levels under the ETS, that is European Union ETS, you could see the phase 1, first trading period, second trading period, third trading period. This is the verified emissions level, metric ton of carbon emissions. Now, if you take the first category, that is industry. Next is the combustion of fuels. Third is the aviation, that is flights and other things. Now, you can see there is some fluctuations in carbon emissions by the industries. But when you compare the periods from 2005 to 2020, in industry there is some fluctuation. It is not showing a deep decline. There is fluctuation. Next is, if you see the combustion of fuels, we could see a slash down. See, it is declining. In some year it is increasing. But you take 20, not even 20 because of COVID. Just you take 2019 and you compare with the 2005. There is a decline in the fuels. And similarly, the aviation, there are some fluctuations are there. But in combustion of fuels alone, the European Union has controlled the carbon emissions. So this is what the achievement. This is what the achievement of the European Union, carbon trading. Then the European Union has given some targets to invest in renewable energy. You can take the countries in the horizontal. Vertical axis shows the renewable energy source, percentage of renewable energy source. Now, if you take the share of 2005, this is the share of 2005 we could see. Next, the share of 2013. If you see the 13, it has increased in all the countries. So there is some good move towards among the European Union countries. Then if you see the target of 2020, in all the countries the target is achieved, but only in two countries they are unable to achieve. One is Sweden. You can see 2013 share is higher than the target. So here they are unable to achieve more than what they have achieved in 2013. So we have to be cautious that the European Union not only targets the carbon, it is also suggesting its member country to reduce the non-renewable resources and moving towards renewable resources, that we could witness. So next, in the case of European Union ETS and the COP26, so it has got some huge change. Already actually European Union gave some target for 2030, but after this COP26 Glasgow climate summit meeting, they have changed their idea. The thing is, how they have changed their idea in carbon emission control. In COP26, 109 countries signed to slash emissions by 30%, that too by 2030. But a pledge by 141 countries to halt and reverse forest loss by 2030. The thing is, they are ready to give $18 billion as a fund and $1.7 billion to the indigenous people, like tribal people, those who are living in the forest areas. For them, they are giving us a fund to manage the forest. So this is the plan, this is the decision taken under COP26. Then in June 2021, the European Union took a measure that it has to at least 58% of the emission has to be reduced by 2030. Keeping 1990 as a base year, by 2030 it has to reduce the emission level by 55%. So for this they have said that fit for 55. They have given us a rule, new rule, and they have changed everything based on the COP26. Now what this COP26 has created is, it has created a warning throughout the world. And if you are doing the same level of emission, then it will affect the country and the global temperature will increase. When it is 1.1 degrees Celsius, we face huge loss. Now, what is the problem is, when we control within 1.5 degree or as per the Paris Agreement, if we reduce by 2 degrees Celsius, at least we can manage the earth and the people. Next comes the carbon market in India. What India is doing in this carbon market? What is the role of the country? This is the third part of our discussion. Now, in case of India, India took a measure in 2010 by providing the Renewable Energy Certificate scheme. So, whoever is doing environment friendly activities, they will be provided a certificate, and that certificate can be used like a carbon trading. This is based on the carbon trading. Our government has brought this Renewable Energy Certificate scheme. So, in January 10, it has initiated, and if a project sells the electricity generated through the renewable energy projects to the state electricity, then it will give a renewable energy certificate proportional to the amount, how much they have generated. Based on that, it will give a certificate. This certificate can be traded in the open market on power exchanges, and the project can earn additional revenue. Similar to the carbon credits, here also they can sell the certificate to the others, those who are in demand. So, distribution companies like power plant owners, they will be purchasing these certificates for their need. And at present, this renewable energy certificate supports 3,350 megawatts of grid connected renewable projects. So, to some extent, it is involving in carbon control, but it is not complete. It is not a complete action towards the country. Only at meager level it is involving. Next, it has brought the pact, that is perform, achieve and target. First they brought this certificate, renewable emission certificate. Next they brought perform, achieve and trade, PAT. So, in 2012 they are bringing this scheme on 30th March, and here India adopted a cap and trade in energy intensity via this PAT, and the major aim of this PAT is to improve the energy efficiency of the high energy intensive industries through target setting and tradable energy saving certificates. So, when the this certificate is not working well, they found we have to move to some particular industries. Those who are large industries, they want to target those industries. And in the year 2012, they have brought this PAT. And if you see the achievements of our country in carbon emissions through PAT, we can see here. There are 4 phases. As we see in carbon trading, there are 4 phases in PAT, and number of industries has increased over the period. You can see the number of industries, it has increased over the period of various phases. And the sectors, in first 2 years we could see 2 phases, we could see it has increased from 8 to 11 sectors, but once again they have limited the sectors. If you see here, in the first phase it is from 12 to 15, then in the next phase it is 16 to 19, then later they have taken for only 1 year, 1920, 2021, that's all. So that they have, the target also is limited according to the years. And if you see the target reduction in million tons of oil equivalent, this is the target, but they have achieved more than the target in the first phase. The first phase target is 6.6, but they have achieved 8.6, and the carbon emission saved is 31 tons. Similarly, we can see in other cases also. Similarly, in phase 4 and phase 3, there is some emission control, but not up to the mark. But we are giving certain targets and we are trying to achieve it, finding the large scale industries, not all the industries. And next is the clean development mechanism in India. In India, we have a national clean development mechanism. and its role is it will be a mediator between developed countries and our own country, and it will allow investment, renewable energy investment. So India's carbon market has already generated approximately 30 million carbon credits, and it is the second highest volume in the world. So we are preserving certain natural endowments, and we claim 30 million carbon credits. The countries, those who are ready to purchase, they can purchase from our country. If you are preserving a forest, you can show this much of forest is preserved, and this is the carbon storage. And by showing the storage through clean development mechanism, we can sell our credits. So what European Union country will do? It will say, sir, I have polluted more than your stated limit. Now I have purchased credits from India through clean development mechanism. It means that it is the monitoring agency. So it is accepted. So we have gained a lot through the clean development mechanism. So the carbon trading market in India is growing very fast as compared to IT or biotechnology or BPO. Now it gives some revenue to our government to invest on the environment. That is very important. Selling the amount and purchasing petrol or polluting the environment is not a good idea. The thing is, we have to invest in renewable energy. That is important. Then nearly 850 projects with an investment of 6,50,000 million rupees are invested in India through clean development mechanism. So this CDM, a system that funds clean technology in developing countries, and has a spectacular success in India as well as China. In India, we got 1,686 projects, whereas China has got 3,764 projects through clean development mechanism. It means that number of countries, they have come abroad, they have invested in our country in this much of amount, 6,50,000 million amount we have got from the developed countries. So close to 80% of the CDM project registered within UN are from these two countries. Whatever the United Nations invested, it has invested in China and India alone. So this is the big gain that we get through the carbon trading. And it is expected that India will gain at least 5 billion to 10 billion from carbon trading over the period. It is estimated that in future there is more possibility to earn more income through carbon trading. And India is one of the largest beneficiary of the total world carbon trade through this CDM, and that too it is 31%. And of the 425 million certificates issued by the United Nations panel governing this scheme, India has received 79.2 million and China 209 million as a credits. So this much of benefits that we are able to get through clean development mechanism, that too because of the carbon trading. And a study says that 10 million of the certificates are not issued to the projects. It is unsold to the projects. So this is the pathetic situation in account. People, the industries are not ready coming forward to purchase this. If they are ready to purchase, they have to invest in clean development or renewable energy. For that purpose, they are not coming forward and they are not investing. And this is the situation in our country. And next is the RED Plus in India. It is also like a offset idea. Reducing emissions from deforestation and forest degradation. That is what I mean by RED Plus. Plus is the role of conservation, sustainable management of forest, enhancement of carbon stocks. These are the plus. So what is deforestation? Just removing the forest resources for other purposes like construction, agriculture. Then forest degradation is there will be forest but it will be lacking to give its benefit. So for this purpose, the whole world has brought this RED Plus. India is also brought this RED Plus. So what gains it has got, that is important. And this RED is established by our Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And in India we have 15 projects, more than 15 projects. And if you take a project of East Khasi Hills in India, that is from Meghalaya, it is a project, RED project. The project was started in 2010 and paid 1,32,000 something dollars to 4,400 families and have invested 1,20,000, 27,000 something for forest management. It is giving some amount. When the amounts are given from 2011, through the storage of the forest, through the protection of the forest, they have restored 20,000 hectares of forest and they will get the offsets of 8,60,104 tons of carbon emissions. So because of the forest management, what they have gained, they have stored 8,60,104 tons of carbon. This can be sold. This can be sold through RED plus. So when $9 is per ton of carbon control, carbon storage, then you can see $7.5 million the Khasi Hill community will get. And because of that, their income, particularly the low income households, they have got income. And their income by 25 to 50% through carbon revenue sharing, it has increased. So this is what carbon trading is doing. Not only it is doing in developed countries, simultaneously developing countries like India also benefiting. Similarly, in a forest in Madhya Pradesh, and 95% of the poor rural families are jointly earning 3 lakh US dollars every year from carbon payments or by restoring 1,000 hectares of forest. So in Madhya Pradesh, the people are getting benefits out of the carbon trading. And coal cess. If you take the coal cess, as I said earlier, from 100 it has moved towards, from 50 it has moved to 400 rupees per ton if you want to use the coal. And this revenue is collected by the transfer to the National Clean Energy Fund. And from 10 to 18, the coal cess collection amount is about rupees 86,440 crores. We can understand how much we have collected through coal cess. And next oil fuel cess is there. For only coal cess we have collected this much of amount. And of this amount, only 29,654 crores has been transferred. But only 15,000 is utilized. See, already providing by our government is itself is a meager amount. That meager amount is not utilized completely. This is the issue. And now the coal cess is converted into GST. Now the GST is not spent towards the environmental protection because it is providing to the state governments for the loss, revenue loss. Now completely it has stopped through the coal cess. Then if you take the Delhi Metro rail, and it has earned 19.5 crores by selling 3.55 million carbon credits. So these are our offsets, these are the outcomes of the carbon trading. Then Jindal Vijayanagar Steel, it has sold $225 million worth of carbon. So these are the outcomes of carbon trading in India, through India. Then Pawarguda in Andhra Pradesh, there they have saved 147 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions. So when they save this emission, they have used this Pungam tree, Pungam in Tamil, they used to say that through this they have saved around 147 tons of carbons. So this is a good move of Andhra Pradesh. Then if you take Tata, they also are involving in projects, energy consuming projects. And through this Tata Power Club Energy, it has educated more than 23.84 million people and it has saved 29.8 million units of energy. and it has saved 28,000 tons of carbon. So it is a calculation, and it is creating awareness, and after the creation of awareness they will verify what is the change in energy consumption. This is what Tata is doing. Then Infosys, and it has reduced its energy by 55.05% since 2008, and 44% of Infosys electricity is through renewable energy, and they are saying that by 2020 they will attain 100%, but actually they have attained only 44.3%, and they have changed the target to 2030. And Indore Municipal Corporation, it is also earning offset amount by selling its carbon control, and it says that 50 lakh by selling carbon credits it has earned. Indore Municipal Corporation in Chennai, they are planning to do that. Still now they have not started, but they are planning to do that. If you take the National Highway Authority of India, they are planning to take this Chennai Salem expressway to show to the clean development mechanism, and they say because of this good road system, highways, we are saving fuel energy. When we save this much of fuel, what will be the carbon reduction or carbon storage? By showing this, they are planning to get they want to sell their credits. Next is the advantage and disadvantage of this emission trading. And if you take the benefits, it gives cap at a low cost. It is sometimes it is giving free for caps, and it sanctions in form of trade and fines. Then it directs the world to utilize the energy potential. Not only that, it gives cap, and also it gives some platform to the developing countries to utilize the renewable energy potential. Then emission trading provides a way of establishing rigor around emission monitoring, reporting and verification. Not only that, it is monitoring and reporting and verification also is going there. Not just like that they are providing all these credits or amounts, just they are verifying. But what are the disadvantages? Here the industries that do not pollute sell their conservation to the polluting industries, but pollution is continuing. The thing is, pollution is not reduced, pollution is continuing in some other form. If in America they want to pollute more, they can invest in India in greens, then they can show. But somewhere the pollution is in America. So the pollution seems to be a continuous phenomenon. But when you increase the price of the carbon, then there will be some falls in the level of emissions. And it becomes ineffective if the companies have the ability to invest heavily offsetting. And when the companies feel that investing in offset or it requires huge amount, then they will hesitate. They will think why we want to be a part in the emissions trading. So they will not involve. Then monitoring and estimating, it is also a great big issue that can be exactly measured. There even in measurement we have a problem. Then accounting for the exact emission is difficult. So the numbers is like a magic. When the people criticize, they criticize only the numbers. How you arrive these numbers? How you are able to measure the emissions? These are the problems that we have. But some way or other we have to overcome the issue. Lastly, I will conclude with this. Actual scenario of the emissions trading team. This is the world emissions from 2000 to 2020. Now, if you take China, it has voluntary carbon trading. If you take United States, it has voluntary trading. If you take United Kingdom, it has voluntary trading. Only one trading, European Union trading, is the formal compliance trading. That is agreed by the whole world. If you take India, we are not a part of the emissions trading. Now you see the level of emissions. The China is going on increasing its emissions. Even in 2020, when there was a pandemic, the emission is high in China alone. If you take India, it has a decline from 19 to 20. You can see here. Now you take the United States. It has voluntary emissions trading, but it is declining, but not up to the mark. But UK is having voluntary emissions, but you see the emission level, it is too below, it is too meager. The thing is, we have to understand how the UK is reducing its emission It is also having voluntary emissions within the country. No one can control UK. It will decide. US, it will decide. But UK is releasing lesser emission because of their rules and regulation to reduce more non-renewable energy, and they are moving towards renewable energy sources. They have completely they have shifted. Because of that, you can see from even 2000 the level of emission is too meager. But if you take the European Union trading, because I have discussed only the European Union trading system, you can see here it is declining. See, this is the European Union. You can see here, this is from here it is declining continuously. So European Union trading system is working. It has given some benefits, no doubt. But beyond that, UK has controlled its emission because of its own principle and its own policy, not because of any emissions trading. By its own, it is reducing. But what we are thinking, we are ready to sell our credential and we want to get more income, or let foreign countries invest in renewable energy. This is the intention what we are doing. China is also doing the same thing. They are telling we are developing countries and they are getting fund from developed countries and they are investing here. So this is what going actually. And with this I stop here. So I have taken more time, I think so. And as a conclusion, nothing wrong in doing trading, but it has to be done throughout the world. A unique policy has to be there based on their ability, based on their business, based on their emission level. We have to give some targets every year. They have to reduce. Like that, we have to give a plan. Then only it will be good. Otherwise, it will not be a good. And this is the conclusion. I will tell the final thing because I am running out of time. There is a need to promote a global carbon market to address climate change rather than seeking financial interest from investment firms. So instead of targeting money, we have to target only the emission levels. As I said earlier, India, what is the emission? So you have to give some benchmark. In next year, you have to reduce by this level. This benchmark level will work. Rather, for mere financial financial transaction, there is more opportunity to escape. Some misuse will be there in showing their targets, everything. So with this, I stop here and I thank the coordinators and